They say on a good day, a remote viewer can see forever. Human awareness is so much more than most of us can even imagine. And so many secrets are buried in time.
Setting up the desk is a ritual. I do it the day before I work an operational target. I get a clean stack of paper, the target ID, everything laid out just so I know this will be waiting for me tomorrow. Setting up the desk is like committing yourself to the target. With nothing more than these letters and numbers to go on, I will use my mind to perceive a location or event. I have no hint about what it might be. The night before, I get good sleep. I don't try to go to the target in my dreams. I don't consciously think about the target the night before, but I know it's there. Get up the next morning, go about my day with a sense of anticipation. It's waiting for me. I don't know where it will take me. I know I've got a task ahead of me. My day builds toward this activity. I can feel a sense of anticipation and curiosity. I almost always go exercise. Usually I head to the ocean to swim. Swimming clears my mind. I don't think about the target. I don't try to guess. I don't try to get impressions. I just start building up my sense of expectation. I go home, I eat a good meal a couple of hours before the session. Turn off the electronics, put the cell phone on Do Not Disturb, turn off the computer. I eat some dark chocolate and drink green tea, mild stimulants. With about an hour to go, I start playing guitar. Free-form jamming, noodling, letting my mind wander musically. Music is abstract. It gets me ready. "30 minutes before the session, I sit down and meditate, not trying to get target data. I want a blank slate. I have somewhere to go, something to see. It's all I care about at this moment. Everything was a prelude to this moment. I pick up my pen and begin a highly structured set of actions.
What really happened to Adolf Hitler? Remote viewing the death of the Fuhrer.
I never realized it was Hitler. I never knew it was Hitler. All that work I did. When I got the feedback, I looked at it and I went, oh my God, that was Adolf Hitler?
Mainstream history tells us that Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun committed suicide at the end of World War II. Now, that story is being severely challenged by first-hand accounts, official documents, and other hard evidence. Did Adolf Hitler really commit suicide in the bunker? Or did he escape to Argentina? The work of a talented remote viewer adds new data to the puzzle. This new, never-before-seen remote viewing work, captured live as it happened, on video, questions who was really shot in Hitler's bunker.
There's been sudden violence.
What the remote viewer witnesses is far different from what we've been told.
And
Hitler as an old man, a body buried anonymously in the countryside, an exchange of nuclear secrets.
there are like nuclear calculations going on. I see this.
So what really happened to Adolf Hitler?
The man I saw was an old man. Now, when I was looking at him in his older years, he didn't have a mustache.
I think an in-depth study of all the available evidence clearly indicates that Hitler may very well have escaped the bunker in Berlin. and ended up in South America.
Project manager Dr. Courtney Brown did not anticipate this new data. He didn't expect the bizarre information the remote viewing session produced. What remote viewer Dick Allgire found came as quite a surprise. Remote viewing is an amazing skill, developed secretly as an espionage tool by the U.S. military in the 1960s.
November 28, 1995.
For 20 years, U.S. intelligence agencies have been experimenting with ESP. Some people may have certain psychic powers. This may reassure you, it may alarm you, but in fact, for some years now, the U.S. intelligence community has wagered a modest amount of money on the possibility that such powers do exist. But the most enduring experiments have been in the field of remote viewing.
Howdy, I'm Jim Mars, journalist, author. I've been studying remote viewing since the late 80s when I discovered it, and at that time it was a secret top-level government program. In the early 90s I wrote a book about it, which got suppressed, but it is finally out now. It's called Psy-Spies, P-S-I Spies, Psychic Spies. And I not only interviewed most of the people connected with the government's remote viewing program, but I also have practiced it myself. I even taught it for a brief period of time. And I'm here to tell you that it really works.
Remote viewing, as it was taught to me, is an advanced communication skill. The idea is that we all have a subconscious awareness that is connected to a greater field of consciousness. Now, we spend most of our waking day totally involved in the here and now, in our primary awareness only. But if we learn to communicate with our subconscious, if we practice this and follow specific protocols, you can become very good at getting non-local awareness, at seeing things across time and space. And I've been doing this for nearly 2 decades now. I've had a lot of practice.
Dick Allgire has participated in a great number of public projects at the Farsight Institute going back a great number of years. He's got a proven track record. Public projects, public verification of the data collection procedures, peer-reviewed studies he's been published in. This type of remote viewing, done under this type of conditions with this quality remote viewer, is some of the best you can get.
Dr. Brown is the director of the Farsight Institute, a nonprofit organization that conducts remote viewing research. Brown wrote the book that explains the scientific basis of remote viewing, and he has published remote viewing work in peer-reviewed science journals. Dr. Brown designed the Hitler Project.
I was in control of the chain of custody of all of the targets. I designed the targets. The targets were never uploaded to the web. They were never discussed with any of the remote viewers. The nature of the projects were never discussed. Everybody did everything blind. I was the only person on the entire planet Earth who knew what the project was about and who knew what the targets were about when the remote viewers were doing their study.
During the project, remote viewer Dick Allgire worked several sessions on 2 different targets, using a paper and pen method, and then also recording the live, real-time viewing on video. The previously unreleased material presented in this video is not an official Farsight project.
I worked 2 different targets for this project, and my work was done over a pretty long span of time. I think it was a month or 6 weeks. You can see in one session I'm clean shaven, in another one I have a little bit of a beard. So these were done pretty far apart.
Remote viewing is always conducted blind. The viewer is told nothing about the nature of the project or the target, and is provided only non-leading alphanumeric codes that represent the target.
Okay, here we go. This is target 14D, I believe.
The first part of the tasking was a test to see if Allgire could successfully describe Adolf Hitler giving a speech to the Reichstag on January 30th, 1939.
die Völker noch einmal in einen Weltkrieg zu stürzen.
As he did all of the remote viewing on this target, Dick Allgire was always alone, with no coaching or feedback.
Seems to be in a structure. I see a number of people. My angle is I'm looking down, so a group of people, quite a few people, a curving area that looks to be like I want to call it a stage, someone on there, a focus of attention, some other people on the stage. So that's my first impression. Inside a structure, multiple humans, other people that seem to be on a curving area. Looking at these people, looking at this, trying to get a sense of this structure. Again, people, specifically one person. I get a sound of talking, noise, room noise, a lot of hum, voices, hectic, noisy place, a lot of people. I get a smell. The idea that comes to me is fedora. You know how a hat has a smell? The inside brim of the hat has a certain smell to it, and that's that's something pulling me onto this target. The smell of a hat. The word fedora. One of those brown hats that people would wear back in the 1950s, 40s.
We're always looking for two different types of remote viewing data. The first is verifiable. Verifiable data are known aspects of the target. For example, when Dick Allgire remote viewed the Reichstag in the Kroll Opera House, the descriptions had to be perfect, and in fact they were.
Get a look at this from the outside. Multi-story, pretty big, some type of couple of archway shapes that I seem to get. When I first reviewed my work as compared to the target cue, I thought that I'd gotten the structure wrong because this was Hitler speaking at the Reichstag, so I looked up a picture of the Reichstag building. Well, the building I drew didn't look like that. Later, as we were investigating this and doing research, we realized that they had burned down the Reichstag. So Hitler was giving this speech before the Reichstag at the Kroll Opera House. So I looked up a picture of the Kroll Opera House. That's what I had seen. That's what I drew, and it did match. So I was right when I drew the structure.
Using only his mind to access the event in the greater consciousness, Allgire clearly witnessed Hitler giving the speech on that day in 1939.
A central person here, maybe at a podium, like it is like a stage. There's other people on the stage. There's other people here. I get a male sense here, a feminine sense, a smell of perfume, woman's clothes. These people It's loud. It's some cheering. Some people are like affirmative noise, like yeah, yeah, like what they do at a rally or a political thing. I hear music, but the music is intermittent. I don't think the music is the main event. I don't think this is a musical performer, but there's music coming out at intervals as like punctuation. The music, there's a theme song or something, or some music that that gets the people worked up. And these people are worked up. They're animated, they're cheering, they're affirming things. This would be like a speech or a pep rally or might be political. A lot of attention focused here. This has a serious feel to it. This is not entertainment. There's an entertainment aspect to it, but it's serious. More on this guy that's up on stage here. I feel like I should know him. I'm not ready yet to make a These guys are buying what he's selling. If he was a preacher, they're gonna believe his spiel. They adore him. They're excited to be here. This is an event that I don't know if they paid to get in, or they might have needed invitations or tickets, but it was a hot thing. They're happy to be here. They're happy to see him. He has a lot of charisma and power over them. It's interesting because the other people off to the side of the stage, and he's in lights, focus of attention, noise erupts. He's, I don't want to say playing the crowd, but not inciting the crowd, but they're reacting to him, and he knows how to get the response. There's other people off to the side that have phony smiles. Outwardly they support him, but there's, they're like mocking him. They're like under their breath. They're certainly jealous. There's some plotting going on in the background, some intrigue. These guys are two-faced. This feels female to me, but there's like somebody off to the side is not happy with this, and yeah, the word plot, like plotting, get his due, have our revenge, have our time, it'll be our day. But certainly he's a figurehead. What happens next?
This is some of the most amazing remote viewing ever captured on video. Allgire taps into a dichotomy in Hitler's personality.
The whole world's watching, the weight of the world, the pressure is just, I can see it. It almost has this like friction to it. It's hard to put it in words and drawings, but there's some, this guy is powerful, but in a way he's powerless. He's fearless, but he's very afraid of something. How can you be fearless and afraid at the same time? That would be the weight of responsibility, I guess. He's needs to appear bold, but feels timid. He feels swept along. I think in that scene where I saw him, he was literally being led, like maybe even gently by the elbow, like through a crowd. But in a greater sense, he's also being led by forces that are greater than him. He tries to have a great inner calm, but that's very difficult. There's too much pressure. I want to follow him again.
So what did Allgire report about the death of Adolf Hitler? Allgire was only working with a non-leading target ID. The target Q, written by Dr. Brown, was not revealed until after all the work was completed.
The viewer will remote view the physical death of Adolf Hitler. The viewer will perceive the surrounding environment as well as any individuals and activity that may be near Adolf Hitler during his physical death.
In this remote viewing session, Allgire does see someone dying from a gunshot wound to the head.
Akimbo, lying there. Blood, a significant amount of blood. Somebody's been hurt, shot, killed, murdered, assassinated, death. Real sudden, violent. It was may have been a gunshot, but it felt explosive to me. And from the point of view of the victim, unexpected, out of the blue. Wasn't told, hey, we're going to shoot you. Wasn't threatened. Well, he might have been threatened the other day. But, didn't expect this at this time. Just out of nowhere. Just boom, and he's out. Like Jack in the Box. You know how surprised kids are? You turn the little thing, all of a sudden, move! He's physical in his body, going about his day, and just boom, out of nowhere, he's expelled forcefully, explosively. He's out of his body, and extremely disoriented. He doesn't know what happens. I mean, he didn't see this coming. He realizes that it's like a big script. It's a big drama that everybody plays their part. It's just that's the way the script went this time, and everybody played their part exactly like they were going to. He played his part, they played their part, and it's all this giant screenplay. Yeah, it's just, it's not something he's going to be that upset about. It's just, oh, that's the big picture, is that everybody's just playing their individual part. I can't quite explain this right. It's all just a drama. In a sense, not real, like it is real, but then when you experience it like from his side, it's just a form of play acting where everybody has their role. They have their assigned roles and they play their roles to perfection, and he did his role.
So, according to Allgire's view of the event, there was someone shot and killed at the bunker. His target contact can be verified. He clearly describes the Russian troops approaching and encircling Berlin and the chaotic battle scenes above the bunker itself.
With flames and smoke. Although it's night, there's a glow. People running to and fro. People running amok. Yelling, screaming, violence. Out of control. You wouldn't want to be in these people's way. Like I would definitely run the other way. Some violent scene.
But something is amiss when he describes the death of the individual shot in the head. He doesn't perceive it as a suicide. As he works, you can sense Allgire's subconscious, sending up red flags.
A form of play acting?
You can see it on his face and hear it in his wording, that something about the death is staged.
He sees it as a elaborate stage play. It's all a bunch of actors, and everybody just played their parts. Everybody had their scripted part, and they acted it out completely in character.
Could it be that a double was executed in place of Hitler, and this was what Allgire's subconscious was trying to convey?
That it's like a big script.
But if Hitler didn't die in the bunker, what happened? How did he get out? In his earlier session, Allgire saw an event where Hitler was drugged, seemingly incapacitated, and led by the arm.
He's being pushed through a crowd like he has bodyguards or someone leading him through. His feel is dazed, like he doesn't know where he's going. He's being led, he's following. This feels too intense. It feels almost surreal. His consciousness is...
When a remote viewer achieves experiential contact, his consciousness emulates the target.
There's too much weight on him.
He actually feels the target's thoughts and emotions and can see right through the person's eyes.
He feels psychedelic, drugged.
In Harry Cooper's book, Hitler in Argentina, an eyewitness recounts Hitler being forcibly drugged and removed from the bunker on orders of Martin Bormann.
Is it possible that Hitler escaped the bunker in Berlin? And the answer is absolutely yes. It's very possible. What a lot of people don't understand is that the bunker had two entrances. One, the main entrance, and then there was a back entrance, all right, that led directly into Hitler's private quarters. So it's entirely possible that some doubles, possibly drugged, were taken in through the back door into Hitler's apartments. Then they were shot, poisoned, whatever, wrapped up in blankets. And then the real Hitler and the real Ava slipped out the back door under guard and slipped away. This could possibly mean that the people, the driver, the secretaries, the people who have all been interrogated about the death of Hitler were all telling the truth from their standpoint. In fact, their actual story says that nobody went in there for a while after hearing a gunshot, because Morton Bormann, who was chief of staff to Hitler and in charge of the whole thing, said Hitler told him that if they heard a shot, not to go in for 15 minutes, whatever that was about. But he did exactly that, and then after they heard a shot, only Bormann went in. And by the time the others went in, the bodies were wrapped up in a blanket or a rug, and so they never actually saw close up Hitler and Ava Braun. And they took these bodies, they took them out to the courtyard, and they burned them. And this is what the Russians got hold of. And now we know, not only from Russian reports, but also from FBI reports of the 40s, that top leadership actually did believe that Hitler escaped and got away.
Recently released declassified FBI documents show that in 1945, the FBI knew Hitler had escaped to Argentina. If Hitler did escape, that escape had to be well planned. Watch as Dick Allgire perceives a tense encounter, a subordinate giving orders to the man in charge.
They're in a private moment, in like a stunning breach of manners and protocols. This is so literally in your face. This is human number one right here. So this is guy number one, who you'd think you would defer to him, that he would be superior. He is thought to be more powerful. This guy would seem to be subservient. But he comes into his personal space. He comes up to him. You just wouldn't, in this situation, get this close. It's like something like The Godfather or something. He comes up to him and he just quietly comes up real close to his ear. And he very quietly and calmly says something to him that is real disturbing. Like he delivers a message, an ultimatum. And the way he does it is the way he comes up into his personal space and just right in his ear and just says, like, we want you, you're gonna do this. And if you don't, the consequences will be very severe. Now this guy is completely taken aback. He's dumbfounded, he's shocked, he is seething inside, but he's very poker face. He's keeping no expressions, smoldering. He's, to him, the phrase that I get out of his mind is Hobbesian, Hobson's choice, dilemma, Hobson's choice, like a rock in a hard place, like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. He doesn't want to do this. So he's confronted with being told something that he doesn't want to hear, he can't do, he won't do, but he can't not do it. The repercussions are going to be very severe. I feel he's a moral person. He's got moral, he can't let this happen, but he can't stop it. Something awful will happen to him, maybe his family, his country. This guy is real sinister. If his eyes are real smoldering. Here's a guy that realizes he's not in control like he thought he was. Something's out of his control. He's swept into something, and he doesn't like it one bit. He doesn't agree. He doesn't acquiesce. He doesn't agree. He's just quiet, like takes it under advisement. But this guy says, well, we know you'll do the right thing. We know you'll do the right thing. If there this wasn't recorded, historians would like to see into my brain to record this. If you could have a camera capture that moment, I think it would be one of the most famous pictures. He wouldn't allow that. I mean, this was done in private to let this guy save face. But he now knows who's in charge. That would be an iconic picture. I wonder who they are. I mean, can I recognize them? That scene where the two people are talking face to face, and the one that is more powerful is being told what to do by the other. That's a really interesting thing I saw. Now, it's open to interpretation. I don't know exactly when that was or what was going on, but in the context of the target cue, it might be that it was this man being told it's time to leave the fatherland. It's time to sneak away like a thief in the night, and you're going to have to live like a fugitive the rest of your life. And he wasn't real happy about that.
Was a deal made? As the session on Hitler's death continues, Dick is unexpectedly drawn to a transfer of nuclear secrets.
I black out and I come to aware onto target. And I'm in a classroom or a laboratory. I can see it and I just know about it. I know that it's a place where there are like nuclear calculations going on. I see this blackboard and I wrote, I can't really see it, and I don't know these kind of equations, but I wrote some stuff. There's like an old clock on the wall, not fancy. I don't know what time it is. There's a table over here. The table is, this is a really no-frills place. It looks kind of old. This table would be like government issue, metallic table. There's some papers and materials on here. Maybe somebody left their slide rule, but they wouldn't leave their slide rule. But it's a place where you'd work, use a slide rule. There's some chairs here, very Spartan classroom type chairs, haphazardly around. There's nobody in the chairs when I'm here. It's empty, but there have been people here, and I know this has something to do with nuclear stuff. Nuclear calculations, nuclear bomb making calculations. And there are boxes of documents which I can draw. And by the way, this blackboard isn't this kind of not using dry erase. This was chalk. This had a whole sense of being kind of old. But these boxes are like cardboard document boxes. A lid like this. There's two of them. I just know that it involved two of them. Areas on each one, they're identical, where you would write like the date the contents. There's a seal. There's some kind of stamp that says like top secret classified, or the facility name here, dates here. So, and they're just plain box. They're about this big. They're just document boxes. Nothing special. They're not really secured. Like, they're not locked up with a padlock. But they contained, they're just stuffed with stuff that was those calculations, the equation and calculations that I saw on the board. And I think these were stolen. I see a place where it's a big room, shelving. A person would be about this tall, and these boxes like this are stacked up high. Stacks and stacks. This is like rows and rows of these. Warehouse, archive, where these kind of boxes are kept, and kept pretty secure, but two of these were stolen. Again, it had nuclear calculations, like spy transfer type of stuff. Now, who would want this? In this, now I'm be damned if I know how this relates to the guy that was shot, the confrontation, the ultimatum, the troops, the military stuff, but there's an undercurrent of, you know, I just popped onto Target and this seemed important to me. Nuclear stuff stolen, 2 boxes, and I saw the boxes very clearly.
So as with all remote viewing studies, we have verifiable data and we have new data. Some of the new data that came in was the information about there being nuclear secrets that were being hidden and transferred. That was very interesting. If it wasn't for the fact that the verifiable data that was reported was so accurate, I would have dismissed the nuclear stuff, but the verifiable stuff was really great. So it made me wonder about the nuclear stuff.
The atomic bomb stuff was kind of came at me out of left field. When you're working a session, you get threads of things and you just pull on a thread and see where it goes. So I pulled on this thread and I got the idea of nuclear bomb making, atomic secrets being stored in one place and then taken and transferred. And I had no idea how this would fit in the context. You have to remember that I'm working blind, so I don't know what the target is. I just know that my subconscious led me to this, atomic bomb making stuff being transferred. I didn't know what it meant.
In his best-selling book, The Rise of the Fourth Reich, Jim Marrs thoroughly documents just how much farther advanced the German atomic bomb program was than most realize. And as he watched Dick Allgire's session on Hitler's demise veer off into the realm of nuclear secrets, it made perfect sense to Jim.
What amazed Dick Allgire in remote viewing the person that he was tasked to was the fact that they were discussing nuclear secrets. Of course, conventional history tells us that although the Nazis were working on an atomic bomb, that they never quite got there. They didn't really have it. But in my studies, I found that there's some evidence that the Nazis did have an atomic bomb, that they had found a way to chemically enrich uranium rather than using the slow and ponderous technique of centrifuges as we were using it. In fact, in early 1945, President Roosevelt was told that we only had enriched enough uranium to make 1 atomic bomb. And of course, we had to test that. So then, all of a sudden, in August of 1945, we had 2 uranium bombs to drop on Japan. Where did all that uranium and know-how come from? It came from the Nazis. It came from the submarine, the U-234, that was loaded with 50 casks of uranium, gold-lined, and that's the tip-off. If it was just raw uranium, as some would argue, then you don't need to have gold-lined casks. This was enriched uranium. But more importantly, also on the U-234 was Dr. Heinz Schlichter, who was the inventor of some very, very fast fuses. And this was a problem we had with the first atomic bomb. We could put the components together, but we didn't have detonation fuses that were fast enough to create an atomic explosion. But after the U-234 was taken into captivity, after sailing through Allied waters and not being attacked, all of a sudden we had the fuses, we had the uranium, and of course then they tested the bomb at Trinity site in New Mexico. That very same day, the USS Indianapolis sailed for Tinian Island in the Pacific, and when it arrived at Tinian, they unloaded the components, and within a week we had bombed Hiroshima. So basically, the top Nazis escaped, and they escaped prosecution and being hunted down because they swapped the United States, their nuclear capability, in exchange for immunity.
If Adolf Hitler was allowed to escape in exchange for technology, then what ultimately happened to him? In his remote viewing session, Dick Allgire saw an old man.
He looks, at this point in his life, haggard. I get a sense of regret, loss of power, sadness, sorrow, treachery. Some weight or responsibility is so pressing on him. Just like he had great plans and something went wrong. I saw him in bed. I knew that he was broken, defeated, bitter. He felt betrayed. But the guy that I saw died in bed. If I had to guess, I would say congestive heart failure. But he died fairly peacefully. Something was out of his control. He would have liked it to have it turn out differently. I think he's wanted to be a good person, but events overtook him. Well, he's a leader. Was he a president? That's the feel I get, regal feel. Maybe one of the presidents. He took a secret to his grave. Took a secret. What's the secret? I'm blind to all these targets. I've got no feedback. Another something I worked recently had a theme of someone being given a deal that they couldn't refuse, like an offer they can't refuse. Like he got swept away by something that he didn't want to do, but he had to do it. and the results weren't good. The results were, I would say, historically bad.
One of the most humorous elements of the Nazi Hitler remote viewing study that we did is when Dick Allgire was remote viewing Adolf Hitler, and the identity of who he was remote viewing was on the tip of his tongue, but he couldn't figure it out quite. He knew this person. He knew that this person was a public person. He wanted to say it, but he couldn't quite figure it out. It was actually so comical because he was describing Adolf Hitler so perfectly, and then he wanted to say who it was, but just couldn't connect it. That is really great remote viewing data. Totally not led by preconceived notions of what you're trying to perceive. Totally blind, but spot on, knowing that you know something about it and you're describing it, but don't consciously have the ability to identify it. That's perfect.
Who is this? I spent a lot of time with this guy, and when I got feedback and realized, oh my God, this was Adolf Hitler, I never consciously figured that out when I was doing the remote viewing. But actually, that's good. To me, that means the remote viewing data is more pure in a sense, because if you get the idea or the word Adolf Hitler gets in your mind, there's so much baggage that comes along with that. You're going to have so many preconceptions. So the data that I got was pure subconscious communication without me consciously knowing who it was.
The fact that Dick Allgire never quite realized exactly who he was remote viewing, to me, is adds to the credibility of his remote viewing session. If he had right off the bat said, oh yeah, I think it's Hitler, he's got a little mustache, a little swept forward hair, he's got a uniform, big iron cross, and he's saluting, and I would have been very hesitant to think that this was legitimate remote viewing. But by putting himself into the situation and into the person that he had been tasked to look at, he did hit the nail on the head. He saw this person as very important. He kept using the word leader, and in German, the word leader is Führer, which exactly is what they called Hitler. He saw him in huge public gatherings. He saw him mesmerizing the crowds, and of course, this is all 100% correct.
And Allgire saw this man on his deathbed, not dying in a suicide.
I see a skeleton pretty clear to me in a coffin, and it looks more like a coffin. I see this shape really clearly, not a nice casket, a coffin. And it's it's very still, utter stillness, and I smell earthy, rotting, moldering is the word, I think, moldering. Buried anonymously. I don't know if that's my guy that I was looking at before, but that's very clear to me that something at this target involves some death and someone buried in a coming at me so fast. I see grave stones. This one's like this. Markers here. A stone fence. The old stone fence. This is an old cemetery. There's grave markers here. There's a country road here. It's a small country road, like 1 lane or 2 lane. Trees in the distance. This is not looks like out in the country. It doesn't feel famous. This is a wall that's old rocks covered with lichen and old, not crumbling completely, but not real new. A lot of gravestones. This was a really clear visual. I saw a coffin. I saw a body in a coffin. And the idea, the sense that this person was buried anonymously was very strong. It hit me like really hard. This guy was buried anonymously. And I got a very good visual of the cemetery where this coffin was originally placed. I can see the rolling hills, some trees, old gravestone markers, stone crosses and stone gravestones. There's a crumbling fence, a country road. That came across pretty clear to me.
By all accounts, Hitler fled to Argentina, and along with other top Nazis. And we know that Morton Bormann was down there. We know Dr. Mengele was down there, other top Nazis. And this all makes sense. This also jibes with Dick Allgire's remote viewing of seeing the man he was told to remote view buried in a quiet little cemetery, in pleasant surroundings. Nothing like the bomb-destroyed bunker in Berlin.
So can we say that this particular collection of remote viewing data is definitive with respect to the death of Hitler? No, we cannot say that. It may be that he died in the bunker, gunshot wound, suicide, cyanide tablets, just as it was reported in the news.
When Courtney Brown designed this, I think he was trying to show that Hitler was murdered in the bunker by his own people to make him look heroic. My information that I got in my sessions seems to go in another direction, and I think Courtney's willing to look at that. I don't know if he agrees with it or not, but hey, it is what it is.
It may be that there is another side to it. And the other data, the new data that Dick Allgire records for these sessions, suggests that he may have died as an old man and been buried in a normal way in some other place. He may not have died in the bunker.
According to varied reports, Hitler escaped the bunker, went to various hideouts, and eventually made his way to South America, where he died apparently in the early 70s from his sicknesses, and basically as a kind of bitter and man who felt like that he had been betrayed.
What really did happen to Adolf Hitler? It is said the truth is out there. Unfortunately, it is often revealed so long after the fact that few seem to care. All this needs to be kept in mind when considering Dick Allgire's breathtaking, time-traveling, remote viewing of the passing of Adolf Hitler as an old man, which corroborates the powerful body of other extraordinary data revealed by such fearless researchers as Hitler in Argentina author-historian Harry Cooper and Rise of the Fourth Reich author Jim Marrs, and including eyewitness accounts, classified secret government documents, and even physical evidence. It is clear that remote viewing is an indispensable, unprecedented technique in the endless search for reality and for exploring the truth hidden by decades of official lies, deceit, and the mists of time, to finally expose some of the biggest lies of our age.
Wenn es dem internationalen Finanzjudentum in und außerhalb Europas gelingen sollte,